Okay, let me share now. Okay, we're live now. So we'll
Yeah.
start now. Alrighty. Narayana Prabhu, go ahead. Jai.
Okay. Are we live?
Yes, we're live.
Okay. Thakur Bhaktivedanta speaks something which I've never heard anybody speak before. He precedes Gorkashore Das Babaji, is the father of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and the grand spiritual master Srila Prabhupada. So when he says these words, it came to me as a bolt of lightning because A, it was so unusual, and B, it's sort of what we were talking about, like groping in the dark, and here it comes out in the full blaze of light. And Dr.
Right.
Bhaktivinoda says, where does it state the quote from? Oh yeah, from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 21st chapter, and 23rd verse.
Yes.
He writes, liberty then is the principle which we must consider as the most valuable gift of God. This is so important. Liberty, then. I mean, when we say liberty, we think I was handcuffed and now I'm at liberty. The handcuffs are off, or I'm living in the land of liberty, or something of that sort. Liberty, then, is the principle which we must consider as the most valuable gift of God. And if we look at it again, liberty and gift of God is the jiva. The jiva is liberty, but we don't see it that way because we see the jiva as an abstract principle or a concept or something of that sort. Or we say, when will I ever become aware that where is the soul? And we don't say, well, you're the soul, you're already aware, because consciousness is the indicator of the soul. So how can you say, where is the soul? The soul is generating your words and your consciousness and your ability to think, feel, and will. So he writes, liberty then is the principle which we must consider as the most valuable gift of God. We must not allow ourselves to be led by those who lived and thought before us. Now that is an amazingly electrical statement, isn't it? Because it takes us from the realm of the student who reads the scripture and commits it to memory and then tries to apply it to his life, meaning his physical life, body. It separates that from the person who is actually stepping out of the airplane without a parachute, walking on the air. We must not allow ourselves to be led by those who lived and thought before us, even the gurus. We must think for ourselves and try to get the further truths which are still undiscovered.
Wow. Independently thoughtful, Prabhupada says.
What?
So Prabhupada write the letter to Karandara Prabhu. Our Krishna consciousness philosophy is training people how to be independently thoughtful in all areas of knowledge, not for making bureaucracy.
Yes. So bureaucracy is the opposite of freedom, liberty. Okay. Now they live as those who lived and fought before us. We must think for ourselves and try to get further truths which are still undiscovered. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 21st chapter, 11th canto, 21st chapter, 23rd verse, we have been advised to take up the spirit of the Shastras, not the words. That is amazing, eh? The
Yeah.
Bhagavat is therefore a religion of liberty, unmixed truth, and absolute love.
Try.
So it goes beyond words and ritual.
So this word liberty and free will seems like it goes together. Liberty would
Of
mean
course,
that,
free
and
will on the spiritual platform is the very core definition of liberty.
yeah, and liberty then is the principle which we must consider as the most valuable gift of God. So Srila Prabhupada comments that free will means that Krishna gives you free will, and free will means that you can act wrongly. Prabhupada says liberty and free will. Prabhupada saying
Well, yeah,
that
we
the
can always
jiva,
act wrongly, and that's why the person who is on the Madhyamodikara is being guided by Paramatma, but the Guru watches from outside to make sure that he doesn't do something wrongly in the pursuit of liberty.
no.
Madhyamodikari
You don't
is
mention.
liberty. What?
I thought you were saying the Madhyamodikari is guided by Paramatma, no?
Yes, but the Guru is on the outside to catch the Madhyamodikari if he falls. Your relationship with Paramatma is never bondage. He may experience bondage from the conditioned soul who wants him at every moment to be like a dog at heel for his pleasures and desires. But it doesn't work the other way around. Once you're under the guidance of Paramatma, you can leave the guidance. And guess what? Paramatma being Paramatma, you being a jiva and part and parcel of Krishna, Paramatma will help you leave. He will help you fall down. If you want something off track, he will help you. Therefore, to achieve the thing that has fallen, therefore the spiritual master remains to set the standard. Uttamadikari, spiritual master, not insufficient spiritual master. He is there to give you the actual guidance to remain on the spiritual path.
Can you elaborate? Can you elaborate on Paramatma? I'm not so familiar. I'm not familiar.
You're not?
Paramatma?
Paramatma means supreme soul, meaning the supreme soul means Krishna, or in the case of Paramatma, means Vishnu, four-armed Vishnu, is in your heart. It is he who we turn to and say, ask, make me dance, make me dance. That's Paramatma. Yes, he is or Krishna in the heart is Paramatma. Paramatma means super soul.
Is that Vishnu?
Huh?
Is that Vishnu?
Yeah, super soul is an expansion of Krishna. The reason why Krishna doesn't expand personally into your heart is he is busy doing things that are a lot more fun than doing that. Like running in the fields of Vrindavan, nursing for Mother Yasoda, dancing with gopis. Why would he divert himself into the heart of a bunch of people that want to do all sorts of creepy things? But Paramatma was there to fulfill the creepy desires of the people whose hearts he is in. He's not just in the heart of devotees. He's in the heart of the ant. He's in the heart of the turtle. He's in the heart of the rat, of the dog. He's in the heart of the mass murderer. He's in the heart of the executioner. He's in the heart of the person who invented the guillotine. You see? So Paramatma facilitates the jiva because the jiva is part and parcel of Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes. So because the jiva or the soul is part and parcel of Krishna, he cannot be denied anything that he wants, whether it's real or illusion. So Paramatma, knowing, or Paramatma observing, I should say, that the soul is so anxiously looking for temporary pleasures, temporary satisfaction, temporary revenge, temporary dominance, temporary all sorts of things, limited to his body and not beyond. The Paramatma then, super soul, facilitates him in his world of Maya or illusion. You want to be an illusion and you're asking me to help you? I will help you. What illusion do you want me to help you with? Oh, I want to murder that group of people over there with an AK-47. You have an AK-47? No. Well, what are you going to do? Well, maybe you think I should buy one? Duh. You know, okay, so you go to a gun shop and buy one, and then you get this. You go out and say, you know, I forgot the ammunition. And Paramatma says, well, what do you want to do? Well, I better go back. Should I go back and get ammunition? He said, you bet your red pajamas you got to go get some ammunition. And so he does. He gets ammunition. Then he loads a gun. He practices. Then he goes out to shoot 40 people. All under the guidance of Krishna in the form of Paramatma. So that is why there's a saying, and I think in English there's a saying, you have to be careful what you wish for. Because if you wish for something horrible and you're really serious about the horrible thing you're wishing for, Paramatma will go as far as he can within the structure of your karma to facilitate your horrible desire. Just imagine.
So we were talking about free will. So that's the jiva's free will, and Krishna fulfills it.
Yes.
And I want to read a conversation from
Sure,
Srila
go
Prabhupada. This is between Hayagriva and Srila Prabhupada from that book called Dialectic Spiritualism. They are discussing Ray Descartes. And Srila Prabhupada saying, Hayagriva is saying, why can't we have free will? And at the same time, Prabhupada cuts him up. Free will means, Hayagriva, infallible judgment, Srila Prabhupada. Free will means that you can act wrongly. That is free will, unless there is a chance of doing wrong or right. There is no question of free will. Where is free will then? If I act only one side, that means I have no free will. Because we act sometimes wrongly, that means free will. Then Hayagriva says,
am I supposed to be able to read what you're reading from?
Can you see it?
No, I'm seeing the quote from Dr. Bhaktivinoda.
Oh, let me share this. 1 second, Narayan Prabhu.
Good idea.
Does that mean that free will is a sin?
No.
No.
Why would it be a sin?
Our free will get us in trouble.
It can get us in trouble, but free will can also deliver us from repeated birth and death. Free will means free. Free choice. It's like they say, I think in legal situations, did you do that of your own free will? Meaning, were you forced? Were you coerced? Were you tempted? What happened? How did you do it? Well, I was drunk when I did it. Well, so your free will was there, but it was impaired. But you're still responsible for what you did.
Got it.
There's all sorts of angles to free will. Okay, so Ramachandra, are you putting that on?
Yeah. I'm trying to load this up. 1 second.
Okay.
You can continue speaking. Someone.
I hope I don't ask stupid questions.
Well,
no, that's how can you ask?
Prabhu, we should understand that until we're pure devotees, all our questions are stupid questions. Even our good, intelligent questions are stupid questions.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because we are speaking from the darkness and we're trying to find the light. And like we're trying to find out, maybe we're trying to find the light at the end of the tunnel.
Are we speaking from the body or the mind?
Ah.
The body or the mind or the soul? What are we speaking from?
Well, the soul speaks truth.
Well, we are the soul. So if we're conditioned, we can speak not truth also. We can misuse the fact that we're soul to speak wrongly. In fact, the soul is the source of free will. There's no other source of free will except the soul.
Try.
Can the soul make a mistake?
Are we in the material world?
Yes.
So the soul made a mistake.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Otherwise, how did we get here? And how many births have we taken once we're here? I mean, human births. What about prior to human births? Some people come down from higher planets, so they don't experience having been insects and animals and stuff like that. But others start out from the bottom and crawl all the way up, sort of like Darwin, except not one species turning into the other, the soul hopping from one species to the other, birth after birth.
Why and how did we make a mistake?
Oh, because we have minute free will. The free will we have in the kingdom of God, we can be there with Krishna and Krishna Loka. All the feelings, bhakti, love of God, that's all being directed to Krishna, and we all take part in it because we're in our rasa, or eternal relationship with Krishna, which is beyond anything we can conceive of as perfectional. It is perfectional, but beyond our concept of what that is. So I can be sitting there under a desire-fulfilling tree. Everything's desire-fulfilling in the spiritual sky, in Krishna Loka. So I'm in Krishna Loka and I'm thinking, gee, look how everyone's worshiping Krishna. I wonder what it would be like to have that sort of free will for myself. Instead of worshiping Krishna, what if I was being worshipped? Boom, there you are in the womb, about to be worshipped as a newborn baby coming out of the evil, hot, stinking stuff. You know, the baby gobbles up slime from inside the uterus and defecates and pees it out from the womb. That's how he gets started with his genitals
journey.
and his
journey. That's right.
His rectum and pooping. He swallows and poops, swallows and pees for 9 months. Of course, it doesn't start out right away. Usually, about maybe the 5th or 6th months, he's doing that. But there's there for another 4 months, getting into a stinkier environment of pee. And Prabhupada says there's also parasites in the womb that come and bite the baby. They're like, floating around looking for something to eat.
That have Krishna inside of them.
Exactly. And who are part and parcel of Krishna, just like us. So,
wow.
and Krishna's inside of them, and they're saying, where can I find a fetus to bite? Where can I find a fetus to bite? And Paramatma says, over there.
Are they made to dance? Are they made to dance as well?
Well, no, because they don't know that Krishna is God. All they know is what they want, and somebody helps them find it. It takes a long time to realize that
your face
person
is not
helping
coming.
you is God.
Okay, there you go.
Here we go.
Okay. Hey, there you are.
There I am.
You happen
fine.
to be. You're hanging out. Jai Prabhu, do you know where you are?
He's in Vaikuntha.
You are in a place called Barshana, which is the birthplace of Lord Srimati Radharani near Vrindavan.
No, no, Prabhu, your face is cut.
How would I know? I can't see it. Oh,
No.
there it is.
How would I know?
Because you couldn't see it.
I couldn't see it. But that picture is Barshana, the steps going up to the temple of Barshana, Radharani's birthplace. Her father's name was Vrishabhanu. And needless to say, there's somebody there lugging a palanquin up the stairs. And that person happens to be me.
Absolutely.
As you are well aware.
I recognize you.
Well, thank you. And I recognize you. And in the writing in the back is Srila Prabhupada.
Wow.
That's Prabhupada. What I didn't know is that when you have those palanquins, you see, I'm carrying a pole from the front, someone's carrying a pole from the back. And I just walked up the stairs at quite an angle, not a like 45-degree angle, but it was getting there. And you know something? You're supposed to go up sideways. So the two bearers on the poles, pole bearers, are walking in step up the stairs, and the person being carried is being carried up sideways. So I brought Srila Prabhupada up, straight up. And it was very tricky because it was easy to lose your balance doing that, you know?
Yeah.
It would not be a disaster if I fell over and dropped Prabhupada, but I didn't.
Yeah, and going like this, up, like this makes much more sense instead of going up like this, like a car going.
So I didn't get to carry, I wanted to carry him back down, but or somebody else did it. And that's where I saw them doing it the right way, sideways. And that way, you see, I thought he should go up facing upward, you know? If he goes up sideways, he's facing sideways and has to turn in order to see where we're going. So my instinct was that wasn't as good. But the only way to make that work properly is to have a dwarf in the front and a giant at the back. Then it would be even until we get to the top.
Yeah.
Oh, my dear Lord, the son of King Nanda, together with Vrishabhanu's daughter, I've no shelter but Radha and Krishna. Humbly praise Naratamma Thakur. So, together with Vrishabhanu's daughter, that's Radharani. Oh, my dear Lord, O son of King Nanda, that's Krishna. Together with Vrishabhanu's daughter, the daughter of King Vrishabhanu, that's where I'm hearing Prabhupada up to Vrishabhanu's palace. I've no shelter but Radha and Krishna. Humbly praise Naratamma Thakur. Isn't that an amazing song?
Jai. What year was this?
What? Oh, that was 72.
Ah, gotcha.
A few years after the creation of 6 years after the movement was created. Can you imagine?
Wow.
Yeah, that's some fast elevated progress.
Yeah.
Srila Prabhupada immediately sent people all over the world. 69, huh?
Yeah,
68.
well, you see, I was reading these early letters of Srila Prabhupada, and he kept talking about doing that before he did it, long before he did it.
Well, actually,
then he brought Hayagriva and Kirtananda to India.
Yeah, Srila Prabhupada was saying to people that I have 108 temples when he had no temples in America. He was seeing the future. And they say, and this is when he didn't have any temples, saying, I have 108 temples, this, that. That's amazing.
Someone asked him if he had how many disciples. He said hundreds of thousands of disciples. And they said, really, where? And now I forgot what he said. I think it was a quote from Higher Greek possibly, but he said hundreds of thousands. Why can't I remember it? They are, I forgot what he said. It was something perfect. And I can't remember what he said.
Hey.
Hey.
There's the little one.
Yeah, I see you've got Donald Trump in your hand.
New toy.
New toy. No, it's not Donald Trump. It's
New
new toy.
Donald Trump.
Wow. Well, I
This
tell
is
you something.
Elsa. It's Elsa.
Esa.
Brenda Prabhu, do you like your new toy?
You like the new toy or not?
Yeah.
Do you like your toy?
Yeah. It's Elsa.
And guess what?
Long hair is long.
Wow, look at that. Your toy
Auntie
likes
it.
your toy likes you.
Auntie it.
She's
You're
saying her
combing your-
grandmother gave it. Aji gave it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How beautiful.
Well, Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Oh,
Haribol.
She said, I'm very busy.
what a blessing.
She went into a closet?
No, she went back to the living room with the grandpa and
Oh,
grandmother.
I see. Oh, that's nice. You see, she's so open and she's sharing from her heart. As she grows and develops, that tendency, if not punished, if not inhibited, if not defeated, if not laughed at, mocked, or ridiculed, but respected and observed and encouraged and nurtured, will turn her into a very powerful, wonderful living being who will be virtuous and who will be listen to higher authority and will want to deliver the world.
Aye.
Because when you crush people, all you end up is somebody crushed. I mean, well, honestly, the difference between a orange in your hand and an orange that's been squeezed is huge, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Now, would you rather have the orange that hasn't been squeezed? Squeezed orange is just pulp and peel and dents from your fingers.
Doesn't look so
So
good.
that's what we do to children.
Ah. We shut them down. We crush them.
Yeah, we diminish them and crush them in, thinking we're making them into good children by force. Well, we don't have to use force. We can use love and persuasion, intelligence, and hearing them. A child is speaking. We have to develop the art to hear what they're saying.
Yeah, this is very important. I've a few weeks spending time with my daughter. She has, she's very in contact with super souls. She doesn't see things, but she feels it and she says it as it is. Even though people don't say things, she picks it up immediately like this.
Yeah, because Paramatma is in her heart and she's not too smart or too dumb to not listen to Paramatma.
Yes.
She's listening to Paramatma. So if you listen to her, you know what they say in English, out of the mouth of babes? Have you heard that saying? Out of the mouth of babes, meaning something profound comes from a little child. Well, how do they know? They don't have any life experience. They never talked to anybody. They don't know their grandparents very well. They didn't read any history books. How are they speaking truth? And how are they speaking truth? From Paramatma.
Yes.
From Paramatma.
Yes.
In the heart is speaking through them. So it's good for us to know that, because then we will listen to the child when there's not nonsense. Nonsense is also being coming from Paramatma, but only because the child wants it. But when a child says something profound, it's coming from Krishna.
Jai.
Otherwise, where did it come from? It's also coming from their previous lives, which came from Krishna. You know, because whatever guided us in our previous birth was the same force that's guiding you right now. The same person was guiding you in a different body.
Srila Prabhupada called the Gurukul students back in the 70s Vaikuntha children.
Yes.
Amazing. And he gave various instructions like child worship is more important than deity worship. People who are neglecting their children, Prabhupada says, no, you stop your deity worship and you go take care of your children. Just see. And
and they went so far to the opposite that it is not real. God only knows how they were raised, but they were butchers. The Gurukul teachers.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate situation now that people, both parents are working, and hardly the mother spends time, hardly the father spends time. And my daughter sometimes says, whenever she's at home, that, hey, mommy doesn't spend time with me. She's always working. She said,
she has to work.
Yeah, she has to work. And, she wants to be busy playing this and that. But anyways, that's the child's.
Well, this is Kali Yuga.
Yeah.
But consider this: if we create Daiva Vanashram Dharma, then the mother will be spending the whole time taking care of the children.
Right. Yes.
While doing other things like cleaning her house, maybe weaving some cloth, or doing all sorts of things that are inclusive, not exclusive. When you get on the phone, it's like you're talking to somebody a million miles away, and you can't talk to the person sitting next to you.
Right. Yeah. Hi.
So where were we?
We were discussing.
We didn't finish that talk about Vinod thing, did we?
Oh, yeah, we did not, but we'll go back to it. Let me just start reading what Prabhupada has said about free will. Maybe Mahaprabhu Das.
That would be wonderful.
Get some enlightenment from here, Prabhupada speaking. So, Srila Prabhupada says here, one second. So this is from the philosophical discussions with Hayagriva Das, and they're having a discussion with Henri Descartes. And
it's pronounced Descartes.
Yeah, René Descartes. Yeah, René.
No S's. The S is not pronounced.
Oh, the S is not pronounced. Okay. Okay, so Hayagriva says, continuing Descartes, he writes, quote, "It is not an imperfection in God that he has given me freedom of assenting or not assenting to things of which he has not placed a clear and distinctive knowledge in my understanding. On the other hand, unquestionably, it is an imperfection in me that I do not use this freedom right yet," unquote. So, but one may ask then, why doesn't God give us the understanding whereby we can choose properly in all cases?
Is that still Descartes speaking or Hayagriva speaking?
That is, see, this part was Hayagriva's quote on Descartes up to here.
Yes. Who gave the last line? Who said, why doesn't God? Is that
is Hayagriva.
Hayagriva, yeah.
Yes, that is Hayagriva. And Prabhupada says yes. Then Hayagriva says, why can't we have free will and at the same time? He's wanting to say something. Then Srila Prabhupada says, Prabhupada, free will means, Hayagriva, infallible judgment. Srila Prabhupada?
Question mark. Infallible
Yes, question
judgment?
Mark. Yes.
Yeah.
Prabhupada, free will means that you can act wrongly. That is free will. Unless there is a chance of doing wrong or right, there is no question of free will. Where is free will then? If I act only one side, that means I have no free will because we act sometimes wrongly. That means free will. Wrong or right? Krishna. And then Prabhupada, then Hayagriva says, a man may know better, but still act wrongly. A man may know better, but still act wrongly. Prabhupada, yes. Hayagriva, yes. But that is free will. He misuses his. Just like a thief, he knows that his stealing is bad, but still he does it. That is free will. He cannot check his greediness. So in spite of his knowing that he is doing wrong thing, he will be punished. He knows he has seen another thief. He was punished. He was put into prison. Everything he knows, but still he steals. Why? Misuse of free will. Unless there is misuse of free will, there is no question of free will. Huh? Unless there is misuse of free will, there is no question of free will. Right. Then Srila Prabhupada says, in a sense, Hayagriva says, in a sense, he says that when one knows God, he knows everything else because, Prabhupada, yes, if he knows God and follows the instruction of God, then he is right. And as soon as he goes against the instruction of God, then he is wrong. That is stated in the Bhagavad Gita. Now I have given you all instruction. It is up to you to accept or reject. This is 1863. That is free will. Now it depends on me whether I shall act according to the instructions of God or I shall act according to my whims, according to my sensual inclinations. So there you go. Prabhupada's wonderful commentary on.
Could you read that again?
Which part, Narayan Prabhu?
The last part. Could you read it again?
Yes. Prabhupada saying, yes, if he knows God and follows the instruction of God, then he is right. And as soon as he goes against the instruction of God, then he is wrong. That is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, quote, now I have given you all instruction. It is up to you to accept or reject, unquote. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, verse 63. That is free will. So now it depends on me whether I shall act according to the instruction of God or I shall act according to my whims, according to my sensual inclinations. So I'll end it at that for tonight.
For the whole evening?
No, I'm saying this share. Let's go back to the other share. So now I'll share the other part that Bhaktivinoda Thakur's quote from that book. Where is it shared?
Narayan is not ready for bed.
Not quite yet.
All right.
There you go. So we just had a discussion on free will. We tied it up to liberty. So Srila Prabhupada gave a wonderful explanation on how to use free will properly. The valuable gift of God, which is free will and liberty. Here, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, as the most valuable gift of God. So
now,
we can.
Mahaprabhu, do you want to read that bit on the screen? Would you like to do the reading there? Liberty, then, is the principle. Can you see it?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, let's see if I can get. I can't get the whole thing. I can't get the whole picture. Hold on. If I can move it. There we go. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go. Liberty, then, is the principle which we must consider as the most valuable gift of God. Liberty. We must not allow ourselves to be led by those who lived and thought before us. We must think of ourselves and try to get further truths which are still undiscovered. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 11:21-23, we have been advised to take the spirit of the sastras and not the words. The spirit, but not the words.
The Shastra means
The Bhagavata is therefore a religion of liberty, unmixed truth, and absolute love. Thakura Bhakaditovda. The Bhagavat, its philosophy, its ethics, and its theology.
Unequivocally love.
Amen.
Amen. Oh,
I know you're trying to ignore me. So.
how did it feel to read that?
It felt very powerful. It felt very powerful, and it felt very spiritual, and it felt very heartwarming, if I can use that term.
Yes, you can, because he uses that term too. Therefore, religion of liberty, unmixed truth, and the Bhagavat is therefore a religion of liberty, unmixed truth, and absolute love. And that's what you felt.
I felt it, Hare Krishna. Thanks to you guys.
Well, thanks to Krishna. He's
Hare
working.
Krishna.
The secret is you're here, we're here, Ramachandra Singh is here. Krishna's working through us.
Right.
All of us, including you, Mahaprabhu. He's working through you.
Thank you so much.
When you read that statement, it wasn't just a thing that you read, because look at what the thing that you read. If it was a thing, oops.
Did I read it properly?
Oh,
you read
wonderful.
it extremely well.
Oh, thank you.
Right.
The
right.
exact pronunciation of Sanskrit comes with time, but you read everything extremely well. And
thank you so much, Narayan.
Daring to read the Sanskrit without being sure of pronunciation takes courage, and it takes optimism, and it takes the very thing it's talking about, free will. So this passage is enough to perfect your life if you look at it square in the eye, if you want to.
Liberty, unmixed truth, and absolute love.
Yeah. Now,
wow.
What more could you ask for?
Nothing.
Yeah. And yet, within those three things is an entire scope of eternal activity. You see, we keep thinking that dying and going to heaven is the end of reality and the beginning of something magical, beautiful, wonderful, and unknown. But that's not the way it is. Our material life is the one that's stagnant, and entering into liberty, unmixed truth, and absolute love opens the door to eternal pastimes in relationship to the Supreme Being.
Explain the Bhagavata. Bhagavata.
Yes. Actually,
The Bhagavata.
Bhagavatam.
Bhagavatam.
Yes, you got it perfectly.
Explain it to me.
Which part?
Oh, it's a
Bhagavata.
book.
Okay.
The Bhagavatam is really a compendium. Bhagavat means Krishna. Bhagavatam means the pastimes of Krishna compiled.
Understood.
And Srimad Bhagavatam means that it's sacred. The sacred pastimes of Krishna.
Right.
But the Bhagavat, a Bhagavat is also a holy person, Mahabhagavat. And Bhagavat means that person can reveal to you, insofar as you are ready to have it revealed to you, the nature of Krishna and his eternal pastimes. That's why we should never take anything as material in this Krishna consciousness. And when you say that the Bhakti Siddhanta, what we're reading about in the Phalgun Krishna Panchami, is a Mahabhagavat. Maha means great, or of the highest exalted nature. Bhagavat means the pastimes of Krishna. So he's able to reveal to you, not tell you about the pastimes of Krishna, or read you the pastimes of Krishna, but reveal to you the pastimes of Krishna because he has seen it. What is it, that passage? Something, a pure devotee, something can reveal to you because he has seen the truth. You know that passage from it?
Yes, I'll look it up, Narayan Prabhu. So we
Okay.
have the exact quote. Who has seen the truth? Yes,
I'm
that's a
trying to
very
remember
wonderful quote.
where it came from.
Let's see, 2003. That's in the Bhagavad Gita, I think. Yeah, that is in the Gita. Seen the truth.
Hare Krishna.
Right. So you see, we are in what is called sadhu sangha. Sangha means association or group association, and sadhu means holy man, or in our case, aspiring holy men. Sadhu sangha means we're holy men associating with one another, or not just necessarily holy men, but holy beings associating with one another. Because we don't have to be concerned with gender. Gender right now, we're all men in bodies, human bodies. That's not what we're talking from or at or about. The association we're developing is sadhu sangha, means sacred beings, spirit souls talking, uttering to one another. We think the soul is silent. Well, the soul is not silent, because Prabhupada said consciousness is the indicator of the soul, and whatever you're conscious of, that is a product of the soul. That's an aspect of the soul. So when you say sadhu sangha, then you're saying, I am giving up the bodily consumption of mental thoughts, all the things I have to remember to do as a course of work, as a course of living, course of being married, the course of having children, all those things. We're going transcending that. And then we can find our wife partner, children partners, job partners, and pull them up into this with us. Pull them up. And when you pull them up, they will have the opportunity to join in celebration with us in the sacred nature of the supreme association of those who are embroiled and in love with Krishna.
So
next,
here's the shloka that you were looking at. This is from the 1972 edition of Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, verse 34. You're talking about the spiritual master. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, inquire from him submissively, and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth.
emphasis on seeing the truth. It's easy enough to be a minister or a religionist, to pace back and forth in a mega church and scream at the audience and have them faint on the floor. It's all easy enough to do. But when this is something beyond. He has seen the truth, not simply accepted the truth or been baptized to know the truth or ritualistically entangled in the truth. No, he has seen the truth. And that's why we accept Prabhupada, because he can impart knowledge unto us because he has seen the truth. And why or how? Because he's a self-realized soul.
Right.
This means, in this case, self-realized soul means Mahabhagavat, or person on the highest spiritual platform. You're also self-realized souls, but we are approaching the higher platform. We have not yet attained it, but we are encouraging one another along, sort of like rabbits galloping along together, shoulder to shoulder, trying to find the supreme absolute truth together. And so we are, and that is what we are doing.
So I want to read something else. This is very important here, which we have been engaged in that line here. I'll highlight it so everyone can see where I'm reading. So Srila Prabhupada says in the last paragraph, one should not only hear submissively from the spiritual master, but one must also get a clear understanding from him in submission, service, and inquiries. A bona fide spiritual master is by nature very kind toward the disciple. Therefore, when the student is submissive and is always ready to render service, the reciprocation of knowledge and inquiries become perfect. Huh? One should not only hear submissively from the spiritual master, but one must also get a clear understanding from him in submission and service and inquiries. Yeah?
Yes.
A bona fide spiritual master is by nature very kind toward the disciple. Therefore, when the student is submissive and is always ready to render service, the reciprocation of knowledge and inquiries becomes perfect.
Yes. So that's very different than our material education, where we are forced to read and force ourselves to listen and forced to understand, and then forced to take a test, and then we're judged by the teacher. It's so brutal by comparison. This is basically a very lovely experience. And the spiritual master is kind towards the disciple. The university professor may not be. Therefore, when the student is submissive and is always ready to render service, that's very atypical of a college student, isn't it? The reciprocation of knowledge and inquiries becomes perfect. There are instances with material knowledge where if you are very, very high IQ and your teacher has a very, very high IQ, you can have these types of exchanges on higher knowledge. But this is the supreme knowledge. And this is how you can enter into that relationship with the spiritual master, which is a loving, lovely spiritual relationship, not just I order and you obey sort of relationship. In fact, Srila Prabhupada never made a point of saying, I order, you obey. Why? Because he just wouldn't do something like that. Everything's voluntary.
Right.
And that's where people went off the track. They wanted him to say, this is my order, you obey it. Now, then you can go out and tell the people in your temple, this is my order, this is Prabhupada's order, now you obey it. and then maybe everybody becomes robots. But that's not the point. The point is not to become a robot. The point is to become a voluntary, self-realized soul in relationship to Krishna.
Yeah, many times Srila Prabhupada sent out his disciples on just faith alone, and on the order of the spiritual master, in a sense where Prabhupada has instructed. Now it's according to what Prabhupada has instructed, by his spiritual order, that I have to use my intelligence to get this done, and Krishna takes over from there, and that's how they were able to meet
So,
George Harrison and all these wonderful people.
yes, and the way they went about meeting them was quite unusual. They didn't go there arrogantly. They went around to Abbey Road, where the recording studio was, and they would bring them unusual-looking cakes that were intriguing and obviously were conveyed messages, but they didn't. It wasn't explicit, and they kept on seeing these things showing up. The Beatles became curious as to who's doing this and why. That was the bona fide process.
Right.
But Tamal Krishna ended up going and staying with the devotees on John Lennon's estate. He put his paramilitary mentality to work, got everybody acting like robots, and the charm wore off. But when they were doing it the other way, and Malati had baby Saraswati, just born child, and it was just like a wonderful thing. They were wearing, the women were wearing saris, but they weren't Indian, and they weren't wearing the saris like Indians, because in those days, at least, when Indian ladies wore saris, they did it in sort of a way which looked, they're nice saris and whatnot, but the average of the rich Indian women wore the saris gorgeously, but they wore the saris very freely and imaginatively. So it's almost like instead of it looking like Indians chanting a Hindu hymn or a Hindu ritual, it was like heavenly creatures spontaneously bursting into Sanskrit song as though that's the only language that they spoke. It's a very big difference, and that's why it was so successful. They were all very just satisfied, and as you put it, it was because they were been given the order of the spiritual master, and they accepted it, and they didn't think, oh, Krishna's going to direct me from within necessarily. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But the actual fact is, having been given the direction to go to England, they did what came naturally, and what came naturally was the result of Paramatma guiding them. Whereas if Paramatma hadn't been guiding them, they would have done something stupid.
Yeah.
And that's what happened to the relationship of Shyamsundar and George Harrison. George Harrison became obsessed with rubies, which was stupid, particularly after Prabhupada said it was stupid.
Right.
And he got George Harrison to invest. So the magic was off. The charm, the excitement, the going to the next stage and the next stage and the next stage. They could have, you realize they could have stayed with George Harrison and the Beatles and recorded more and more songs on a higher and higher platform.
Right.
But no, they recorded the Hare Krishna mantra. Then George Harrison wrote the melody for Govinda Maripurusham. Govinda Maripurusham Kamaham Bhajami. Jamuna sang it. George Harrison wrote the melody, and he played bass on that recording. So every time people go into the temple to greet the deities, the Govindamadi Purusham comes on. That George Harrison is playing to this very day, playing bass guitar on that.
Mm-hmm.
And what you can hear harps in that recording.
Yeah.
There's pluck, 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 very nice harp songs. The harpist got no recognition because the harpist was not allowed to play on the recording. The harpist played on the recording because they wanted to. But you know where the harpist came from? And it wasn't by the side of the road in a park in England anywhere. The harpist was the chief harpist of the London Philharmonic Orchestra.
Wow. So he
You
knew.
get it?
He's a bit, yeah.
So the harpist was not just a harpist, a world-class, world-famous harpist.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure the Beatles probably paid the harpist, but whether he paid or it was free, I'm gonna let's see. Shalom Gracia Govinda Hari Purusham Namachami. And then it goes, that's the harp playing of one of the world's most famous harpists.
Wow.
That, in essence, is how to go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
But you get someone like Tamal Krishna coming out there. He wanted to recreate a group that would record recordings in Los Angeles. And I was the chief. I was the harmonium player. Mr. John was there, and we had a singer. It was a good group, but he realized he didn't have the connections to make recordings, so he went to England and ruined everything.
Oh, so Tamal Krishna was trying that in 1968 or before that? Or
69.
I mean, not 69. He was trying to copy that George Harrison.
Well, they wanted to say, well, if they can make a recording in London, why can't we make one in Los Angeles? So we did. We sang very well. You know, Jai Tirtha, Mr. John, myself. There was a woman that sang incredibly well.
So you guys were all in together, huh? Nice.
Yeah, we had a good thing, and
you had a good fun.
we were making up melodies. Which probably cursed the whole thing. You see, that's why Prabhupada didn't want George Harrison to take initiation from him, because George Harrison would then not be able to, would have to chant Prabhupada's melodies, not his own.
Right.
But the idiots in the movement, 2 or 3 years later, under the guidance or misguidance of Achyutananda, they began chanting all sorts of different melodies, and he taught them that Prabhupada had not taught us the correct melodies. He said that Prabhupada's translations of the Vaishnavacharyas was not correct.
Wow.
Can you imagine that? He told me that.
That's crazy. Wow. From being
crazy, he was wicked.
Wicked, yeah. Wicked and crazy.
Well, not crazy. He wasn't crazy. He knew what he was doing, and he did it very carefully.
That's why he's crazy. He knew what he was doing.
He knew what he was doing. That's not crazy. That is wicked or evil.
He thought he knew what he was doing.
Yeah. So when he came out with the Vaishnava Sun book, he had gotten Prabhupada to write an introduction to it already. So when he brought the book in, the manuscript in to show to Srila Prabhupada to get his blessing, and Prabhupada saw that he had changed all the translations of the Vaishnavacharya's songs. And he said, you cannot publish this. You cannot print this. You have to do changes. And he said, too bad, Srila Prabhupada, I already published it. Those were his exact words. Too bad, Prabhupada, it's already published. Printed.
Krishna.
Yeah, so that book, that wider than it is tall book with a picture on the cover, black and white picture on the cover, that was without Prabhupada's blessing completely. And then the Chudananda made an album of the songs of the Vaishnavacharyas. Not one of them was a melody that Prabhupada chanted of the Vaishnavacharyas. It was all once he learned at the Gaudiya Math. So he did everything he could to divert people away from Prabhupada for the simple reason he wanted revenge on Srila Prabhupada. Do you recall why he wanted revenge on Prabhupada?
What, Chitananda?
Yeah.
I don't think we have talked about this, or I would have remembered. No.
We did talk about it.
Oh.
I think. Maybe not, but I think so. Because I'm telling it backwards, from the songbook backwards. When Prabhupada went to India, he brought a Chudananda, and a Chudananda had no place to stay, so he ended up staying at the temple, the Mat of not Bon Maharaj.
Keshav Maharaj. No? No, not
What?
Keshav Maharaj. No, it was Bon Maharaj. No?
Bon? It might have been Bon Maharaj. Maybe it was
Then
Bon
he went to Sridhar Maharaj's
Yeah,
camp.
it was Bon Maharaj. So he was there, and Bon Maharaj got him all jacked up, being his dancing white elephant, and that's where Prabhupada got the idea. And he learned all the Bengali songs, mridanga beats, and melodies and everything. So when he wanted to write the book, when he joined ISKCON, when we had a temple in Calcutta, and he moved into it, he wanted to make the songs of the Vaishnavacharyas the way he studied them with Bon Maharaj. And Prabhupada told him, when he was staying with Bon Maharaj, do not stay with Bon Maharaj, go and stay with Sridhar, over on the other side, in Navadvip, and of the other side of the river, in Navadvip. And Achyutananda didn't want to do it, because he was being honored so honorifically by Bon Maharaj that he didn't want to go to Navadvip and stay with that guy Sridhar, who was as dull as blazes to be around. Just completely dull. All he did was read and didn't like to talk, didn't do anything artistic or dramatic, didn't let him do anything artistic or dramatic. So he wanted to get even with Prabhupada by writing the songbook of the Vaishnavacharyas as his book of the Vaishnavacharyas, even though he put Prabhupada's picture on the cover. So I told you that before. It's Vrinda.
Vrinda.
Namo, Namo. Tulasi Krishna Prayasi. Namo, Namo. There is your new doll. He's beautiful.
Yeah.
Maybe don't vote for that doll in 2024.
Yeah, Auntie buy it.
Yeah.
Auntie buy it.
Grandmother bought it. She's
Your
saying.
grandmother bought it. Yeah, but it was for you, right? She bought it for you. And you know why she bought it for you? She loves you so
this
much.
is Elsa. His name is Elsa.
The name is Elsa.
Elsa? Or
Elsa.
Asha?
No, Elsa. Elsa. E-L-S-A. Elsa. Starts with an E. Yeah. Elsa doll, huh?
Yeah, Elsa doll.
Oh, Elsa doll. Okay.
Is that the actual name of the doll?
Yeah.
The type of doll it is?
It's
Yeah.
Anna.
Name is Anna?
Yeah, Anna. It's sister.
Oh, sister. Oh, her sister is Anna. Elsa's sister is Anna.
Anna.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
How wonderful. So your mother got you that doll because she thought you would like the doll, and you do, right?
Yeah.
Do you love the doll?
Yeah. And my birthday comes soon. The kitchen, Bell's kitchen.
Oh, her birthday is coming soon, and she wants a Bell kitchen. And who's gonna get it for you? Aji, or grandmother says is gonna give her Bell kitchen.
Grandmother means your wife's mother or your mother?
My mom, Aji. How?
Aji.
Aji, yeah. Aji means Nani means my wife's side. Aji means parent side. My parents' side.
I see. I don't know these fine tunings. Well,
So this?
are you glad to see me?
Yeah. These are
I'm
all
glad
the
to
other
see-
bubbles.
She's
I
asking.
like you. I love you so much.
She's
I'm
saying
glad
where
to see you.
She's saying where are the other Prabhus?
Yeah, I'm asking the same question. Didn't we get about 3 people on board? I heard
we have Mahaprabhu, we have Andrew Ananda, and we have you. So and me.
And,
yeah.
and you.
Yeah.
And Brenda.
And Brinda. Yes, Brinda's here too.
Papa?
Oh, your uncle is sleeping.
What happened to everybody else?
Here's Mahaprabhu. Hey, Brenda, that's me many years ago when I was younger.
Yeah, this is Prabhu. You see it here? This is Prabhu here. This is Prabhu right here. You see it? Picture?
Yeah.
This is him.
You look the same.
Yeah, well, I'm getting younger by the day.
Yeah.
I'm younger.
You're younger.
Yeah.
Where were you, Narayan?
According to Mark Twain's
Where were you,
version of
Narayan?
what?
Four?
Yeah, you're gonna be 4 years old.
I was in Braja. That is Radharani's birthplace.
Four?
She's 4 years old. She's
Oh, my dear Lord, the Son of King Nanda, together with Vrishabhanu's daughter, I've no shelter but Radha and Krishna. Humbly praise Narada Maharaj.
Jai.
Jay.
Yes.
I like copying you.
You like copying me?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm a copy.
Oh. Why don't you tell Prabhu you're working today with me, huh?
I'm working daddy's.
She was working with me.
Yeah. Are you driving in his car?
No, I'm sitting on my seat.
Sitting on my seat.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Well, your dad,
I'm sleeping on the car, sleeping on the
And
car.
number one.
your dad knows so many things.
You see me sleeping on the car?
You see me sleeping on the car. Yeah, in the back you're sleeping.
Yeah.
Was it fun sleeping in your
Yeah,
dad's
I'm
car?
watching Ladybug.
Did you feel so comfortable and
I'm
cozy
watching
sleeping in your dad's car?
Ladybug.
I bet you felt very happy because you were in the dad's car and you could sleep there and you were safe and happy.
Yeah, because I'm watching a cartoon, Ladybug.
Watching a cartoon, Ladybug cartoon she was watching, right?
Uh-huh.
All the kangaroo are safe, but they all well. Kangaroo.
Catmoa. She was watching something called Catmoa.
Oh, Ladybug is a team, 2 teams.
2 teams, okay.
You're fast.
Yeah, Prabhu, yeah. Mahaprabhu Das. This is Mahaprabhu Das.
Hi.
Isn't he amazing?
Hi,
Look at it.
Wow, he's there. He's
Oh,
here.
look at that.
Yeah.
Hi, Prabhu.
Hi.
So she grabbed my other phone. Okay, now what do you want to do? You want to go to your roomie?
Oh, nice.
Cartoons.
Cartoons? Okay.
Yeah, ladybug cartoons.
Okay, ladybug cartoon.
Wah, 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 wah.
Yes. Yes.
Where's your brother?
Sleeping my new house.
New house? Okay.
Yeah, tell my new house is small.
The new house is big or small?
Small,
want to-
yeah, Papa.
Small. Okay. It's small.
Do,
Okay.
do you want to see your brother?
No.
You
Papa,
want your,
you want to watch Ladybug?
Okay, I'll turn it on in a bit.
you
Talk to
want,
Prabhu.
I bet you want your daddy all to yourself.
Yeah.
Just you and your daddy?
You just want me or with your brother, Keshav?
Papa.
Of course,
Papa.
of course.
This is
Well.
the way it is. This is not
Except
nature,
for
and it's
Mama.
normal nature. You see, Mahaprabhu, nature is there in every species. The mother dog licks the baby pup. The wolf licks the baby. All the deer, the cow licks the baby calf. All of those things are natural. But if you add Krishna, then all of a sudden we see here is a holy person in the making. We're not just we're not religious. I have no appetite for religion whatsoever. We are looking for spiritual life, which is so far beyond religion that when you enter spiritual life, religion is somewhere so far in the distance you can't even see it.
Ladybug. How's a ladybug Ghana?
Okay, I'll turn it on. 1 second.
Okay, yeah. So what are we up to? So we were reading, right?
Ryan,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Prabhu. Okay.
tell me about
Mahaprabhu Das, you want to say something? Go ahead.
yeah. Tell me about young Krishna, the baby Krishna, not the adult, the baby. You hear me? Ryan.
What did you say? What did you say? No, I couldn't quite hear you.
Tell me about the young Krishna, the young one.
Oh, when Krishna was a little boy or a baby? Well, when Krishna was,
Yeah,
one thing to understand
talk
about
about
Krishna,
talk about Krishna.
everything he does is eternal forever, no matter. So if he's a baby, a teenager, or an adult, it's all eternal. It's not like us where we are babies and then we become little boys and then we become bigger boys and then we become teenager tweens and then teenagers, then adults. It's not like that. With Krishna, all of his pastimes are eternal because nothing is ever, he never doesn't grow from being a baby to an adult. He's in all of those things all the time, eternally. So when your mother, Yasoda, has relationship with Krishna as her baby, that's because she is more or less forced him to become her baby. How does somebody force God? It's a pretty heavy duty thing to suggest. Well, how does she force Krishna to become her baby? Well, by providing milk that only a baby could drink and only the baby Krishna could drink. She is so full of love for Krishna that she generates milk in her breast that is so taste specific that only Krishna could enjoy it. So Krishna becomes a baby to enjoy the taste of that milk. He doesn't have to be a baby. He could be a warrior, like with Arjuna on the Battle of Kurukshetra. He could be a king like Dwarka with 10,108 wives. He can do anything he wants. But when Mother Yasoda has motherly feelings for him, because the rasa means reciprocal relationship between you and Krishna or God. That reciprocal relationship is so specific. That's why we're talking about Madhya Madhikari brings you to the point of Uttamadhikari, which is when you enter into that intimate relationship with God. It's not like you die and go to heaven, sit on a cloud and play a harp, of all things. I mean, harps are nice, but I mean, I wouldn't want to sit on a cloud playing one with a halo hovering over my head. It just wouldn't appeal to me. But when Mother Yasoda yearns for Krishna to be her child, she's like you and me, a jiva. She's not anything bigger or smaller than Ramachandra or Mahaprabhu or myself. Jivas are infinitesimal. She's infinitesimal. But she's taken on a form which is bigger than God, because God reciprocates her motherly feelings by becoming a baby. Does that help you understand the structure, Mahaprabhu? It's truly wonderful.
Yes, sir.
I mean, who can imagine? Everyone thinks God is an old man with a beard, and Michelangelo painted God as an old man with a beard, almost touching Adam and bringing him to life. But what if God isn't thought that he's only an old man with a beard to people who are into old men with beards, like Michelangelo? And supposing that Mother Yasoda wasn't into God being an old man with a beard, she was into Krishna being a little baby, just born baby, lying in her arms, drinking milk from her breast. Well, Michelangelo could have painted that, except nobody would have figured out what it was. They would never know how God could be a baby and seemingly a victim or a product of that big woman there with huge breasts giving him milk. That's odd. Well, because you have to understand Krishna before you can appreciate Mother Yasoda. And that's how Mother Yasoda appreciated Krishna. She appreciated Krishna as a child, and lo and behold, he became a baby in her arms. Does that make some sense?
Hare Krishna.
Jai. So,
Yeah.
what should we do now? I think we've been on for 2 hours now.
I think that it's getting, 10:45 is almost 11. As much fun as it is, I guess we should call it a night.
Yes, we'll continue the program tomorrow. Jai.
Boy, you really one up to
Hare
Mahaprabhu.
Krishna.
Haribol. Love Mahaprabhu. I one up to
Thank you.
You're standing in front of the lowly insect Narnarayan, and he's sitting in front of Prabhupada.
Right.
Hare Krishna.
we have a competition
much.
going on here. I said we have a competition going on here.
Well, it all comes down to that.
Ramachandra, thank you for
If
everything.
that's the
Krishna.
competition, then
Yeah.
I will happily say, with a big smile on my face, I lose.
Jai
Okay.
Prabhus. Hare Krishnas.
Have a great night.
Jai.
By the
Thank
way,
you very much, Prabhus.
Before we get off the line, I would like you to say that I am quite convinced, based on what Dr. Bhaktivinoda said in that quote that we had looked at tonight, Krishna wants us to do what we're doing, and he, through you, through me, through Ramachandra, and through everybody else, he will guide us to bring about the next wave or change. to Krishna consciousness as it reaches its teenage years rather than its infancy.
Jai, Prabhu.
Okay?
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much.
Let's
Thank
work
you.
at
Have a
it.
great night.
You've been chosen, Mahaprabhu, you've been chosen by Krishna to
Thank you,
deliver
Narayana.
deliver the world.
I needed it.
And if you yes. I like that.
Good night, Ramachandra.